What's up, everybody? Trinity here, and welcome back to the Second Street Marvel for the morning movie chat. Thank you all so much for being here. I greatly appreciate anytime you guys are here. And once again, I want to say Happy New Year to everybody. I hope you're all having a very great start to your year. I mean, hey, we're only 2 days in, right? We're only 2 days in, but you know what? It's already shaping up to be a good year. Got some goals that I wanted to set for the year, some things that I want to do. I wouldn't say they're they're resolutions by any means whatsoever. I think a lot of times resolutions are silly. It seems like a lot of times when we do things like that, people set themselves up for failure, And to me, I don't know. That's something important. Sometimes I think maybe people's goals are a little too unrealistic and things like that. I don't know. I could be wrong there. Maybe but it's also good to set a high bar. Vlad Riot, what's up, my brother? How are you doing? Thank you so much for being here. Ooh, so pardon this flip right there, flipping the camera there. But yeah, I hope you're all having a very good day. Like I said, we're here January 2nd already. 2020, here we come. You know what I mean? It's an election year. We got to be careful out there. It's getting ready to be a whole lot of fun online for this next year. You know what I mean? I remember, God, what was it back in what was it like, circa 2014? Remember, everybody used to just post pictures. Of their breakfast and their dinner and things online. Well, um, it seems like during the last election cycle, that all changed. It stopped being pictures of our food to politics. You know what I mean? You had to go out there and be active in politics and start unfriending everybody. It seems like that's what happened with a lot of people. Because back in them days, I wasn't really on Twitter much. Uh, I was mostly on Facebook, but that's really what it seemed like during those times. So we're getting ready to head back into those times. Yay! Thomas Connolly, thank you so much for being here. Hope you're having a very good day as well, and having a good start to your new year. And like I said, it's a new year. A lot of people make resolutions, set goals, and things they want to do. I've already started on mine. In the fact that I want to get back into my writing fitness. I want to, get back to where I was before I started this channel. And believe me, that's all the channel's fault. Not your fault, but me. And just kind of not necessarily losing track of my goals, but just being here, a new content creator, trying to grow my channel, grow, I guess, influence, if you will, and things like that. So I kind of, it's not even that I lost sight of anything. It's just I concentrated a little bit more on that, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get back into that. Get back into my writing fitness, get back into my workouts and things like that. As all my writing seemed to kind of take a back seat to what I was trying to do here on the channel over this last year. And yeah, I probably put on about, I don't know, maybe about 15 pounds. And believe me when I say 15 pounds over a year, it's not very healthy. But we're going to see if I can lose that 15 pounds in 90 days. I don't know. We're going to find out. And also, I set really what my New Year's resolutions were this year are mostly, aside from that, is also um, I have some goals for the channel here. That I wanted to set. And that was, kind of being a little more active, cross-platform. Getting back on, Facebook and Instagram, and because I'm pretty active on Twitter and like helping promote my channel and interacting with a lot of viewers and a lot of other content creators, just a lot of other people. And before, I was never really on Twitter at all. I didn't really pay attention to it. And I always hear all the talk about how everybody says it's a cesspool, and you know what it can be if you let that get to you. But that's something else that I want to kind of change here over this next year is just that, and how I interact with each other. Because I want to, I mean, I'm not saying that I can be inspirational for you, but I want to at least set an example. You know what I mean? Try to set an example for others, not necessarily to follow, but see like, hey, look, dude, this guy puts up with a lot of crap, and he still maintains to keep a good attitude towards everything. And that's kind of really what it's all about, because I think everybody can do the same thing. It's really just all about our headspace, and who we allow into that. You know what I mean? We shouldn't let all the negativity and things run our lives, or let other people's negative thoughts deter us, or change the mood that we want to be in. Each morning you wake up, I mean, you should smile and just be thankful that you're alive, and and know that, I want to start the day off right. You know what I mean? And so that's what I've been doing. I actually got out for a nice short little 32-mile ride yesterday morning. Um, so that was nice. Took about 2 hours. So I was riding kind of slow at a little over 16 miles an hour. So I don't know, but it was good to kind of get things started back for this new year. Let's see. Vlad Riot says, "I'm good, thank you. How are you? Just saw you were on. Yeah. I'm well, good. I'm glad you're doing nice." He says it looks like a nice cozy area. Yeah, it's not too bad up here. This is Arlington, Washington. It seems like it's a fairly small area, fairly small town. My sister said it's not it's really that big. Everything else around it is pretty close, but yeah, it's not too bad out here. The only thing is it's clear up here in the Pacific Northwest, and I'm just not into all the rain and all that stuff. I like where I live in Southern California, just on the edge of the desert there. We usually have dry heat. It's usually pretty hot most of the time, and I'm kind of into that. Thomas Connolly, how are you doing? He says, getting back on track. Yes, I am, man. Lethal Lightning, what's up, dude? How you doing, bro? I seen you were live streaming this morning. Got on for a second. Got on for a few minutes and was listening to some of your live stream, man. We're gonna get together soon, bro. We're gonna get together and talk about some comics here pretty soon. So I can't wait till I get back home so I can start collabing with some more people. It seems like since I've been here on vacation, like everybody's collabing. I'm like, dude, like not at a place where I can collab with people right now, because getting on StreamYards on your phone, especially without a good Wi-Fi connection, it's just not that great. It's not that great. Didn't work out that good. Vlad Wright says there are too many negative people. Yes, there are, and that's okay. Sometimes I think those negative people need us. You know what I mean? They need people. I wouldn't say they just need a hug, but sometimes they need sometimes maybe they just need the attention. Maybe they need something to, I don't know, maybe shake up their normal routine and get them back in a positive space. Um, Lethal Lightning says, try to be a little bit better every day. Yeah, exactly. You know what? And I like the way you say it too. Try to be a little bit better every day. And what that has to do with, because what that sounds to me sounds like make just one little change a day. That's how you make changes, by being consistent, and making just those little tweaks every day. You don't have to make leaps and bounds. Just every little thing, every little thing. Kobe, my brother, how are you doing this morning? Uh, Going strong like normal. Good work, Trinity. Thank you, Chaos and Comics. And Chaos and Comics, he's another one of those guys I want to get back home and do some collaborations with, talking about some comic books. Maverick Pilgrim, good morning. How are you doing, sir? Um, Lethal Lightning says X-Men. Yes, X-Men has been it's been great ever since Jonathan Hickman kind of took over and started masterminding everything. We've gotten some pretty good stories. I mean, it's not the greatest, but it's probably the greatest thing going on in Marvel Comics right now. That's for sure. They need to blow off steam. Yes, they do. They do. Um, Now, one thing I wanna say is uh, oh God, what was I getting ready to say here? Um, Lethal Lightning says I have heaps of issues with StreamYards on phone. Oh yeah, definitely. And at least it gives you that warning when you get on there. It says this is not optimized for phone use. So at least they let us know that. Chaos and Comics says lots of people haven't figured out how you can be critical and not be a negative jerk. This is very true. This is very, very true. So yeah, and that's one of the things I want to talk about today is, like just those kinds of things, and motivation. Movies that motivate us, movies that inspire. Like I take motivation and get inspired by a lot of different things out there in the world, and that's kind of what I look to when I watch movies, because you can find inspiration and something motivational in just about anything, I think. And today I wanted to talk about A Few Good Men. I'm not sure if you guys have ever seen A Few Good Men, but it's directed by Rob Reiner. I believe, oh man, can't remember the guy who wrote it. It might have been I don't think it was Rob Reiner, but it was that other guy out there. Oh man, big writer out there that wrote that movie. But I believe that was actually based off of it was based off of I want to say it was based off of a play, the stage play or something that used to go around as well. Very great movie though, and it's got a lot of great quotes in it as well. Everybody knows the "you can't handle the truth." Everybody seems to know that one, right? But that movie, when I used to be in my leadership position at work, when I worked at Walmart, was one that I would go back to and watch every now and again, just to see, to get, maybe gain a new perspective on what it is that I was doing. And if you've never seen it, obviously has a lot of great people in it. It's got Jack Nicholson, Demi Moore, Tom Cruise, um, another one of my favorite actors. Oh man, why'd I forget his name all of a sudden? Oh man, I want to say it's Pollock. Not Sidney Pollock. Not. Oh man, I all of a sudden forget his name. It's got Kevin Bacon in there. Lot of great actors. But in case you've never seen the movie, basically what it's about is it's about these guys who were, I believe they were in the Marines, and they were basically they went and performed this code red on a fellow officer, and a code red is something that they would do in the military to kind of, for people. Other people in the military were people of their own ranks were keeping other people in check, which I think is something that's very I think it's something very important, because for me, what it comes down to when it comes to doing things like that is, when you got somebody in your own company, somebody of your own ranks keeping you in check, it's really constructive criticism, and if it's coming from the right people, it usually means that much more. And to me, that's a lot of the lessons that I take away from this movie. So these guys, they go out there and uh, they perform this code red, and kind of put this guy in check. Well, in the meantime, the guy ends up dying from acute lactic acidosis because they stuff this rag down his mouth, and just a whole bunch of different things, going on with that. It's a pretty. It was a pretty controversial thing, within the confines of the movie, obviously. Um, and then we see what happens is Tom Cruise is basically tasked with to go out there and be the lawyer for these guys, and he's trying to build his case and figure out exactly what happened, and he's investigating this guy, these guys, his clients and things like that. He goes out and meets Colonel Nathan Jessup, who is played by Jack Nicholson, and very just some very interesting things are uncovered. But to me, there's just so many great lessons to be taken out of it. Whether you're moral lessons, um, things like if you are a leader, things about teamwork and things like that as well. Because when you're and Jack Nicholson makes so many great points during the movie. If you're working with other people, especially if you're in like a team environment, which most places you work are team environments, you're relying on somebody else. You rely a lot on other people to help you do your job and get things accomplished. And I think that's something that's very important, and I think that's where things like these code reds come in. Keeping each other in check, and thinking like and things like that. I think it's very important when it comes to those kinds of things, because you're always looking for constructive feedback. Well, um, a lot of the things that I really take out of it is just that, in trying to you got to, instead of going out there and oh man, is this thing dropping out on me? Maybe I better turn around and go the other route. the is keeping each other in check and taking that constructive criticism from others, which I think is something that's very important, whatnot. But I think it's something that's very important, especially from a leadership aspect as well. Uh, but so a lot of like I was saying, a lot of it, Jack Nicholson's character drops a lot of just really great lines throughout the movie. But to me, like the ultimate lesson throughout the movie, something that keeps me motivated when I think about things like that, is just because you have somebody who is in charge of you, you have a leader out there. Leaders should set good examples. You know what I mean, for the people that they're, I guess you would say, in control of, or are leading. You should set good examples out there for people to follow. And not only that, but if you're on a team in an environment like that, while there are times, like most of the time, you should be listening to your leader. You should be following your orders, if you will, your directives. Chances are, if you're working in a work environment, you have things that you're supposed to be doing. You have a job to do, a job to perform, standards that have to be met. Um, it's lagging a bit for me. Yeah, and that's why I turned around. I noticed it's starting to lag a little bit. Maybe I'm getting a little too bit into the hills here. Um, so yeah, that's one of the things I think is important. Is you should be listening to your leaders, your coworkers, and things like that. But I think another big lesson that comes out of the movie is if uh, if you're given an order, something that is wrong, should you follow through with that? You know what I mean? Is it something that you should do? I know plenty of times when I used to work at my old job, there would be directives come down from uh, upper management and things like that. They want you to do certain things, and the thing is if you have the right leadership, you know what your job is, you know what the standards are, you know the expectations, and when somebody comes along, no matter who it is, um, you don't always have to follow orders. You know what I mean? There has to be a time where maybe you have to take a stand and say, no, I won't do that. I can't. That goes against what I'm supposed to be doing. That's not exactly what I'm here for. And I think those kinds of things are very important. You know what I mean? Snow Dub Music and Entertainment. What's up, my brother? He says, Jenner, check. Sir Nerdalot, thank you so much for being here. Um, but yeah, that's I mean, you shouldn't always follow orders, and that's the one thing we see a lot of in this world is yes men. You know what I mean? We see a lot of yes men out there in the world, and that's okay, because we sometimes indeed need people who will actually follow orders, because sometimes you have a leader in a position that knows what they're doing, that knows what they're talking about, and it's not that they need yes men, but it's they need people to follow directives and things that they're given. So I think there's some very important moral lessons and things that can be applied to our lives just through a movie like A Few Good Men. And I know that's something that certainly used to do when when I was working, in that environment. Was when there's times when people would come and tell me what to do, and I'm like, I can't do that. That goes against everything that I'm supposed to be doing. I know at one point I was a department manager over the foods department, and I knew what the expectation was. I knew what my job was. I had my department. I won't say it was perfect, but it looked good. I even had other department managers that had been department managers for a long time who complimented me on my department, talked about how good it looked, just all kinds of different things like that. And the market office was in our store. So like, the market manager, he was in there often and things like that. And so it was a good place for me to be at, because it was a good place to get noticed. It was a good place to learn as well, because his office was there, so he was pretty much in there, definitely a few days a week. So there were, I guess you could say, there was high standards. But I remember at the one point I had gotten demoted from my position at work. And here's the thing about being a leader: leadership doesn't. It has nothing to do with position. If you're a true leader, you don't have to be in a position of power uh, to to call the shots. You don't have to be in the position of power to influence others. You don't have to be in that position of power to get things done. You just go out and you do. And I remember things things that had not been going the greatest, and I ended up getting demoted out of my position there at work. And I got demoted, and what had happened, see, like, there's a certain way that the departments have to look. You got to plan out. This is a whole bunch of boring stuff for most of you. You got to plan out features and these kinds of things that, well, anyway, my department was really looking good. After I got demoted, like 2 days later, maybe the next day, they went down and they took down a lot of my work that I had done, having all these things themed and just all this stuff. They went in, took all these features down, just took all this. I mean, and they left a whole mess of freight in the back room. And so what happens is, I wasn't a yes man, but I was in a position because I was on what they call a D day, and I couldn't, which was a decision day. Like, basically, you get reprimanded one more time, you're done. You don't have a job. And So they went and they tore down all these features and everything, and it was bad. It was pretty bad. And the market manager had come through and pretty much reamed the store manager and said, "Hey, what the hell happened here? I'm not sure what happened here overnight, but you guys need to get out there and change this, okay? You need to get out there and change this and get this back to how it was, how it looked before, which was basically the way I had it, right?" So, so what they do, the managers came to me and asked me like, "Oh, hey, we've got this stuff in the back room. We need these things put back on these features and this and that." And I'm sitting there like, "Are you serious?" Like, I feel like I'm just standing around looking like you got all these people and you're asking me to do this. This my department that like you just demoted me from, and now you're asking me to go out there and fix it. You're asking me to go out there and do the job that I was doing for less money and those kinds of things. And believe me, money isn't everything. That's not everything. But in this point, it was the principle of it and the fact that I had this thing set up. I had you guys set up, like for success. You guys demoted me, and you want me to go out there and fix what you guys messed up. So I went out there, and I'm telling you, like I was emotional. I was highly emotional about this, and not only just like I wasn't like sad, but like I'm telling you, I was in tears. I literally was emotional in tears because I was so furious. I didn't refuse to do the job though. I went out there, set everything up, did what my supervisor asked me. I was out there literally like shaking and in tears, there on the sales floor. People were walking by looking at me like, sure, don't mess, no, just don't even say nothing. People walking by like, hey, are you okay? And I just looked at them and they're like, all right, not even going to ask, not even going to ask. I just turn around and walk away. So I went out there and set everything up. And as soon as I was done, I walked straight to the store manager's office. And he could see, like, I just walked in and you could see the look on his face. Is like, he looked guilty as hell. Got in there, I closed the door. I don't even think there was even another manager present there at the time, which is something that they always make sure they do. They always need witnesses just in case anything happens. Like all these false claims and all this kinds of stuff that goes on. But I walked in there. I was so furious, and like I said, I was in tears, man. I was shaking furious, and I just told him, I was like, look, man, don't ever, ever, ever ask me to do what you guys just asked me to do again. I had this thing set up. You guys just demoted me, and you had me go set things back to how I had them in the first place because somebody went out there and made a stupid decision and had to tear things down. And now you asked me to fix it. I just looked at him and said, don't ever, ever, ever expect me to do that again. I was like, that's and I don't normally do this on the morning. I said, that's some fucked up shit. And don't ever do that to me again because I won't put up with it. I was like, that's messed up, and you know goddamn well it is. And he just sat there and looked at me. He was just like, he looked scared too. He's just like, I'm sorry, it'll never happen again. And that's really all he had to say. And as soon as he said that, I just turned around and walked off, dude. I was so pissed off. And it was one of those things, like I was saying, like some of these moral lessons to be learned from a movie like A Few Good Men. And I had a leader. There was somebody there in charge of me. I did what they asked. I wasn't happy about it. I knew what it took. I went out there. I sucked it up. I went out there, did my job, went insubordinate, did what I had to do. And then I went and I let him know afterward. And to me, that's one of those moral lessons to be taken from a movie like A Few Good Men. And that it's okay. Like sometimes we get given orders that whether you agree with them or not, you go ahead and do. But there's got to be a time. Sometimes there's not always a time when I would be like I was that day and saying okay, and go ahead and agreeing to do it, because there were times when stuff like that happened when I was still running my department, where they're like, "Oh, hey, we need you to do this or we need you to do that," and I would just straight up tell them like, "No, that's not. We can't do that. That goes against what we're supposed to be doing. That goes against our standards. That goes against what we're supposed to be doing." And I've flat out refused. And if and I always if you're out there and you're doing stuff like that, you got to keep yourself in a position where even if they tried to pull me in the office and tried to cry insubordination and say that I'm uh, refusing to do um, something that was asked of me of my manager, I can walk in that office and I can tell my store manager, look, they're asking me to do something that I know I shouldn't be doing. It's not up to standards. It's not what we're supposed to be doing. And I refuse to do that. Yeah, I'm being insubordinate because they're wrong. I could walk in there to that office and say that, and they couldn't do nothing about it because they know I'm right. If I would go out there and do what this manager had asked me to do, the market manager is going to walk through the store and be like, "What are you guys doing here? This isn't what we do. This isn't what we want." So you always got to be able to, you got to be willing to stand your ground. You know what I mean? And I think that's something very important, and certainly something that when it comes down to it, you've got to weigh in your own mind and see whether it's worth it. Is are the consequences worth it? Even if there are consequences, was it worth it? And are you right? And it's not always about fighting to be right. It's not about right fighting. It's about knowing what you know to be the right thing to do. And I think that's something, an important lesson to take out of a movie like A Few Good Men, where we see these Marines who followed a direct order from one of their superiors, and uh, and it cost somebody their life. Now, obviously, it's a movie about fiction, but there's still a lot of moral lessons to be learned there. And I think that's something that's important in some of these in a good movie is having. Good lessons in there, and it's one of those things that within the confines of the movie, they don't just come out and write and say any of those things, because it's really well written. They don't just tell you like, oh, this movie's, it's going to have to do with leadership. It's going to have to do with taking orders and following orders and being a good person. And I think that's something that's very important, and that's why I think it's important that we all go out there and seek out knowledge and things out there, especially even if it's in your crummy job that you don't like, learning what you're supposed to be doing and standing your ground when it comes to things, doing things that you shouldn't be doing. And while most of the times, in like the case of this movie, it might not cost somebody their lives. Um, it's very important for places like the company and the customer and things like that. You know what I mean? Just silly stuff. But these same kind of lessons can be applied to just about everything. And I think it's important to think about those things. And that's what I think about when I watch a movie like A Few Good Men. You know, um, and just uh, knowing what your role is and being willing to step up to the plate, being able to stand up and say no, at a time when you know that things aren't good. And that's just something that inspires me. You know what I mean? When I see things like that, when I see things in movies like that as well. Um, and it seems like we don't get a whole lot of that in a whole lot of films these days. I think one of the last movies I watched that was like that was Molly's Game. I'm not sure if you guys have seen Molly's Game, but like that was another movie that was like very inspirational in those kinds of ways. You know what I mean? And because it doesn't matter what you're doing in this world, there still should be some sort of a code of conduct, if you will, to what you're doing, to what you're doing. So yeah, okay, let's get here into the live chats and see what everybody's saying. Um, let's see. Lethal Lightning says 3 a.m. mate, gotta get some sleep. Much love, man. All right, man. Hey, I get that, dude. You're over there across the pond, so I hear you. I hear you. Corey says Forrest Gump and Rocky are inspiring films. They certainly are. Forrest Gump, for so many reasons I could think of. You know what I mean? There's definitely a lot of good moral lessons out there, good and also good lessons that you could take out of it to keep yourself motivated. If you have goals and maybe even setting goals as well. And just knowing. That a lot of it takes perseverance, and same goes for Rocky. Rocky is one of those ones. I mean, that's a classic movie, and I love the way Rocky's just a great one because you know what I mean. He's a boxer, so he's out there fighting, and that's something that I think we can take good lessons from and be motivated from is just some of those things out there to look towards as motivation. You know what I mean? Like, ah man, what was it in Rocky 2? Wasn't it in Rocky 2 after Rocky got his ass beat? Adrian's in the hospital. He's wanting to train. He's wanting to go out there so he can beat Apollo Creed again. And he's sitting there next to his wife, and she starts talking to him, and um, like about his training and everything, and he's talking to her, and uh, he's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, and she just looks up at him, and she says, "Win." And then all of a sudden he looks up at her, and next thing you know, that's when it's gong. You hear the gong, and all of a sudden you hear, the motivation. That's when you hear, I think it was "Going to Fly Now," wasn't it? You hear him go through his little training on montage because most likely in life, you're gonna need a montage. So that's definitely one of those. I'm not sure if you could tell, if you could tell, but man, that like even just thinking about that scene kind of gets me like, oh man, like that hits me emotionally. Not even watching the movie, you know what I mean? Definitely a good one. Um, Vlad Riot says, "You're talking about A Few Good Men." Yes, yes, A Few Good Men. Great movie. He said it's lagging a little bit. Yeah, it was lagging. That's why I went ahead and turned around here and went back down this way. Um, the stream, not the movie, right? Yeah, I knew what you meant, man. Sir Nerd a Lot says, "Department manager is the hardest job next to assistant manager at Wally World." I would say, yeah, definitely it is. It's a pretty tough job because at assistant manager, you've already been a department manager, you know what you're doing, and that's pretty much what gets you promoted there. Um, One of the things I actually did there, where I started coming up at, was in the back room. I was an unloader, and that was my first leadership position there. I guess it's a management position, and I actually did it at a time when the lead unloader, it wasn't, they didn't have the positions like they do now, back there with it, like uh they I was working in the back room, and I ended up leaving because not for any other reasons, but like I would go back there. I was working every day. I worked my ass off, setting an example, trying to be the best I could be, trying to help everybody improve, you know what I mean? In just my performance. And there was some newer guys back there, they just wouldn't work, and it was pretty bad, and I wasn't in a position where I was a leader and I could call any shots or anything. And I'm just like, you know what, screw this. I'm going to go out to the sales floor. I'm just going to be a sales associate because I get paid the same amount of money, and not have to run circles around these guys, not have to work harder than these guys. And they'll things will work themselves out. Well, I ended up going out to the sales floor. I was getting paid the same money. I was kicking it, man. I was kicking it. My department looked good. I had it all zoned up. I would go help other people, and it was good. Like I said, leaders. If you're good at teamwork, and you're a leader out there, you don't need money. You don't need positions to help influence others and inspire others to do better things for others. You know what I mean? And I went out there and I started helping others, help them get their departments looking good, help them do their go backs and stuff like that. And lo and behold, it didn't take very long, maybe a month, before some of the other guys who I was working with, who were pretty some lame asses that I used to have to pick up their work, come by, especially the one of them that was like the key guy, like, oh man, like, man, now I know what you mean, man. These guys back there, they don't want to work, they're unmotivated, have to pick up everybody's work and this and that. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, I know. And I'm sitting there like, you're the main offender, bro. Like, you're the one. You're the main one. And so what happened was, the the guy who was basically in charge back there, he was getting promoted, and he had told them, the management team, because they went to him like, hey, who do we need to get in charge back here? We need to keep this thing going, keep it flowing right. And he told him, he's like, well, you need to get Trinity. And to me, that was that was something that was, I was honored for him to even say that. And I went and even gave him a thank you and stuff. And I was thankful, and at the same time I was humbled too. And believe me when I say that, even with that supervisor, as great as he was a great guy too. The dude was like a brother from another mother to me. Um, and I still had my issues with him, just in some of his leadership, you know what I mean? But I never went out and criticized him for it, or said anything bad, because he was still an inspiration to me in what he'd done. And so I ended up getting the position. But as they like, the managers came and asked me to take it over, And so, as negotiations were happening, you know, they're like, hey, like this and that, we want you to do this. I'm like, yeah, okay. So I went and I met with the store manager, who was a new store manager. He sat me in the office, and he's like, okay, we're asking you to do this job and this and that. And I think I've talked about this before here on the channel. And I had this, I wanted a raise, man. Like, I'm not gonna go out there and do this stuff without getting paid for it. And so the manager's like, here's what we expect and all this stuff. I'm like, man, I know what you expect. Like, you get like, and I asked him, I was like, I want a raise. I need some money. I need some money. And he's like, oh well, this would be about the best I could do for you. But he goes, I'm going to give you 90 days, and in 90 days we will evaluate and see if you've made a difference back there, and and see about giving you that raise. And I told him what kind of raise I wanted, and he just looks at me like, are you crazy? He's like, I don't even know you. I don't even know why I'd put you in this position, let alone give you that kind of a raise. I said, well, that's what I want. I want that raise, and I need it in 30 days. And he goes, and he just looks at me all condescendingly, like 30 days, like you're gonna make a difference in 30 days. He goes, I'll give you 60. I'm like, I'll give you 30. It's like 60. He's like, just 60 days, because, and I said, give me 30 days. I said, if in 30 days I can't do it, make the difference, no, like whatever with the raise, like give me 30 days. And he just looks, condescendingly, like, all right, I'll give you 30 days if you can think you can do it in 30 days. But he's just being kind of condescending. Like I said, he didn't really know me or anything. So 30 days later, you know what? And here's the thing I told him. I was like, look, you guys are coming to me asking me to do this. I can stay out on the sales floor and make what I'm making right now and not have any problems with it, because I'm not busting my butt. I'm not having to do anything. I'm not taking in a leadership role. I'm not being responsible for anything other than myself and my department. And he just kind of looked at me like, okay, 30 days it is. 30 days later, you know who got a raise? Yeah, I did, because I made a difference. You know what I mean? I went back there. I had certain things that I wanted done. I needed this one guy out of the back room, and I needed to basically have total control over it. And my total control over it was pretty much, managers, don't come back there and mess with my people. Don't ask them to do things. If you need something done, come and ask me, and I will ask them to get it done. Chain of command, chain of command. A very important lesson from A Few Good Men. Chain of command. And like I said, it was successful. Everything went great, And when I ended up getting demoted, see, this is all coming around here. From that position, when I ended up getting demoted from that position as a department manager, when you go on a D-Day, you have to, you get a day off paid, and you have to write this little letter about what you're going to do to correct your actions and stuff like this. And I went through there, and man, I wrote him a damn book. It was probably 3-4 pages. I'll see when I get home if I can find that and read it for you guys one day. But I went out there, and I wrote this big old paper for him, and it all ended with a quote from A Few Good Men. Yeah. Yeah, I know, it's silly, but that's some of the things, like, I take inspiration from, is things like that, things like Rocky, things like Forrest Gump, like Kobe said, you know. Also, I look at American History X, and see some of the quotes and things that motivate me, even just from that movie. That's another one. American History X, that has to do with a lot of great moral lessons in it, and leadership, and doing teaches great moral lessons. So yeah, God, guys, see, that's I could go on and on about this stuff all day. So we're gonna get back here in the chat to see what everybody's saying. Um, Kobe says inspiring films are sports films as well. Yeah, definitely. Like, Remember the Titans? That was a very good one. But most sports films are. As a matter of fact, I own this box set at at home of America's Game. The ones that were done by the NFL, of all the Super Bowl winners. I have the original box set that they put out of those, and man, I watched some of those, and I was always inspired by those, because each one of those you watch, you see really, really great lessons in teamwork and motivation. and leadership, from just about every aspect. You know, whether it's your wide receiver like Jerry Rice, who certainly can be a captain on a team, but they're just a position of player. You know, typically it's going to be your quarterback who's the leader. You know, it's going to be your coach who is the leader. But I think when it comes down to it, a lot of us need to be leaders in no matter what position you're in. You need to be able to whatever position you're in, you need to be able to do what you can to shine, to set that example for others. Because you know what, there's not always going to be somebody there to set those examples for others. Chaos and Comics says, I used to work in a grocery store. I'd say service deli was the toughest. Oh, I could see how that would be, especially like you're saying, service deli. Because you're out there having to work with your customers and directly. I mean, you're directly working with the customers and trying to meet their needs. How thick they want their ham sliced, how thick they want their cheese sliced, and not only that, but I mean, being a personable person. And things like that. I mean, really, in any position you take on, I don't care where you're working at. These things are very important. Um, let's see, Vlad Rice, where are the cows? Well, they're back. They're back there behind me now. I just walked by some horses a few minutes ago. Um, Cousin Angel says a lot of crazy things happened last night. Yeah, I kind of I was only on Max's stream last night, and I was in there kind of moderating some of the stuff a little bit. And yeah, it got a little bit out of hand, and really kind of just I don't know. It seemed like at some points it seemed like there was a pointless conversation going on. Chaos and Comics says I saw Molly's game. It was solid. Yeah, it is. There's a scene in there with Idris Elba that gets me every single time. It was a scene where he's in there with Molly, and they're all having that meeting with the other lawyers and everything. And like, there's a scene like he does this scene, and it looks like they did it all in one shot. He's sitting there probably talking for a good 2-3 minutes, man. And every time I watch that, dude, like like I get goosebumps. I get goosebumps, and the hair on my arms and everything stands up. So yeah, certainly Molly's game, man. I love that one. Snow Dub Music says at work listening in. All right, man. Good on you. Good on you. Hope you're having a good day, Snow Dub. Comic Head 84. What's up, my brother? How are you doing? Um, Cousin Angel says, Snowdub, I don't find your content offensive. You had me watch old Muppet movies. Yeah, man, Snowdub's great. I get like how he could be offensive to some, but you know what? Like Snowdub and Kermit, they're out there having fun. You know what I mean? They're I won't even say they're beyond comedians. You know what I mean? They're not just comedians. They're in comedians. Never mind. Yeah, I'm a dork, and I need to go home and watch that, man. I've been talking about that movie for the past couple of days, The Three Amigos. Biden Touch, what's up, my brother? How are you doing? Cousin Angel says, and this is coming from a New York progressive who supports Bernie. Um, no, Biden, I don't want to be touched. Nice, nice. Um, let's see. Biden saying what's up to everybody. Um, Biden Touch says, Cousin Angel, feel my burn. That's funny. He says, "No, don't touch me!" Ah, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. But yeah, I don't know, guys. What are some films that inspire you? I seen Kobe was in here, who is a great young man. You guys should go check out his channel. Um, and see watch some of his movie reviews. He's really good at what he does. For such a young guy, you know what I'm saying? So you guys should definitely go check him out. But what are some of the movies that inspire you guys? Like I said, there's plenty of good ones out there. Like I've been here talking about A Few Good Men today, and some of the lessons and moral things that you can take out of it. Certainly, like Kobe even brought up with Forrest Gump and Rocky. I know there's plenty of movies out there. I mean, hell, dude, I can watch Captain America or Iron Man and and get some inspiration out of it as well. You know what I mean? Again, I mean, it all comes from it all comes down to what are you looking for when you watch a movie? What are you looking for those kinds of things? Are you just looking to be entertained? Um, and certainly I understand that too. And that's one of the things I've talked about several times here on the channel, where I see a lot of people these days they watch movies, especially like these Marvel movies and some of these kinds of things out there, and people like, especially like Star Wars. People are like, oh, I don't want politics in my movies. And I've long contended and, talked about that here on the channel as well as, politics have always been in movies. They're an expressive medium. And a lot of times what it is when you hear that from somebody, it's that they don't see their personal politics being reflected in a movie. And no, nor should in a movie, should they go out there and just put their own personal politics in it. It shouldn't be so on the nose. It should be if you're going to have the politics in there like that, it should be in like done in a fashion that's thought provoking. Done in a fashion that's thought provoking and makes you think about a certain situation, how somebody's feeling, or maybe make you think about whatever perspective that it's trying to show you from those kinds of things. So yeah, definitely. I think but like I said, I think that's always been the point of movies and music and things like that as well. We could easily say comics as well. Like even in comics, I don't mind seeing politics and stuff like that in comics. It's just that it doesn't have to be done in a lazy way. It should be done in a way that is thought provoking and at least helps you think about what's going on. Like case in point, I was just this morning I was reading that new Hawkeye Freefall that came out, being written by Matthew Rosenberg, and there are some things in there that are said. Um, like one of the things that said Hawkeye is sitting there, he's eating his breakfast, and Falcon swoops up, and a bird in the air poops on him, and it gets on him and in his omelet. And he's they're all sitting there having this conversation, and Hawkeye's like, man, I need my breakfast. You owe me a new omelet. So Hawkeye looks down at the menu and he's like, all right. And he's like, oh, that's a $20 omelet. And Hawkeye looks at him and says something, makes a remark about gentrification, man. Isn't it great? Or something like that. And I'm just like, "Ugh, really? Like, you don't have to do that. But the way it was done, it was kind of funny, but at the same time, it still made me kind of like, you could have probably said that in a different way. But just the way it was done, it was still done humorous, and I took a little bit of humor in it. But and that's just one of those kinds of things where I'm sure somebody would read something like that and be just like pissed off. You know what I mean? And I get it. I get it. But just things like that, and sure, something like that is very on the nose, but at the same time, it's in the context in which it happened, I was kind of laughing about it as well. Comic Head 84 says Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith is a solid inspirational flick. Yes, that is a good one. Oh man, that's a good one too, because you know what? That one actually, to me, it has this cool little lesson that talks about productivity in there. And the part I'm talking about. If you're talking about that movie, the part where he's sitting there on the phone and he's talking about how much more time it takes to hang up the phone and dial a number again, as opposed to just hitting the little click button and doing things like that. When I was in my leadership position, especially when I was working in the back room there at Walmart, those were things I looked at, with my crew. These days, with cell phones and everything, everybody's got their phones in their pockets and stuff like that. And one of the things I did with my unloaders and my crew is I told them, I'm like, I don't want to see your phone out. If you got your phone out, you're gonna be in trouble. We're gonna have a talk. You don't need your phone. Like, oh, I'm checking the time. You know what I did? I went and I got a clock and put it up on the wall and said, you know what time it is. There's a clock right there. You don't need to look at your phone. Oh, I'm getting a text from someone. Well, you don't need to check your text. We need to get this truck unloaded. You know what I mean? Things like that. It's a lot of what I did, looking at all these little things that you can do to pick up the productivity, to be I guess better workers, better employees at what we're trying to do. Because if we get my thing was is if we get this done, if we get this right here done, we get all this more time where you can sit there, where we can relax. If we get A done, you have all the time in the world to kind of jerk around. You get a little more time. So I'm going to be a jerk and I'm going to be on you about this thing right now so we can take it easy later. But let's focus on getting this done. I mean, let's focus on winning the game, and then we can go out and then we can go to Disney World after that. So but yeah, definitely, definitely that is a very good one. Pursuit of Happiness. Cousin Angel says, "Do the Right Thing" is my favorite movie ever. You know, I haven't watched that movie in a long time, and man, you know what? Danny Aiello, recently passed away. God, was it been a week or two ago? He was. I know he was in. He was in Do the Right Thing, which was a good movie. And like I said, I haven't seen that movie probably since I was a kid. But yeah, and that was something even as a kid. I took some of the moral lessons out of there. Definitely. Comic Jabroni, what's up, my brother? Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Yeah, man. If you guys don't know Comic Jabroni, you guys should go check out his channel, man. Edwin's a very cool dude, man. Most of the comic book community is, dude. Just a lot of great people. And Comic Jabroni is definitely one of those great guys out there. Um, Vlad Riot says, some big ass houses, pardon my language. There's some pretty big ass houses over here. I was talking about that the other day. Even my sister's house, she got a pretty nice house. And I walk in there, I'm like, man, what you got all this for? I mean, she's an accountant, and my brother-in-law works in aerospace, so I mean, hey, they can afford it. You know what I'm saying? Of course, that comes with certain other things. With that, certain other responsibilities that come with that. But yeah, definitely some nice houses out here. And I think this neighborhood right behind me that I was just walking through is a newer neighborhood. Um, Snow Dove says, I like to watch Leonardo DiCaprio in The Beach. I just love that movie, and I fantasize about running away to a secluded island. I hear you, man. I don't think I've seen The Beach. I think that's one of those ones like, you know, I think my wife, she owned that before we got together, and I think the movie was gone, like, it came up missing or something. But that's one I want to watch because I hear a lot about The Beach. Discovery Bay Comics says, "Good morning to all my comic book cousins." What's up, JB? How you doing? Hope you're doing well today, man. I know. I believe JB's show is probably actually getting ready to start here in just a few minutes. Probably as soon as I get ready to end this, I think he's going to be starting his show at 9 o'clock. So you guys should go sure you check out JB's channel at Discovery Bay Comics. What he does, he does a lot of videos. Obviously he's talks about comic books. But pretty much, I think it's here in the morning. He does a show where he's basically promoting other comic book channels, whether they're getting ready to premiere a new video or have a live stream getting ready to come up. Like that's what I mean. He's done a lot of that on his channel. So certainly something good for the comic book community. Comic Jabroni says, "Good job on the walk, brother. You got me pumped. Trinity, stay active." Yeah, Jabroni. As a matter of fact, Edwin, I'm getting ready to get home, and as long as the rain don't start, I'm actually getting ready to go probably out for about another 90-minute bike ride. I started off yesterday with 2 hours. Gonna go hop on the bike, and I didn't bring my bike out here with me to Seattle, but and I probably should have, and I've got plans for what I'm gonna do in the future. But I went out. There's a local bike shop here, and they rent bikes, $70 for the week, and I've got to ride 3 days out of those out of those days just due to rain and stuff. But yeah, man, that's I wouldn't even say resolution, but some of the stuff that I want to get done this year and get back on my training schedule. Because I'm a cyclist, and that's something I regularly do, and that's why I can't wait to get back to California. Because when I get back home, for one, I have all my equipment there, but two, I can get out at 5 in the morning, and the weather not to be inclement, where I can go out and get a good ride in. Because I'm a morning person when it comes to doing my workouts. If you're going to go and do a workout, especially if you're weight training, the best time of day to do that is in the morning. There's a whole lot of reasons why, but one of the reasons why I always say is because a lot of people have back problems and things like that, and by the time you get your sleep in, the discs in your back have basically re-lubricated and everything. Instead of being crunched down and being compacted from the long day you've had, from sleeping and everything, has been less weight on them, so they're back to their optimum way, I guess you could say. So would be better for your workouts, and that's why rest is something that is definitely important if you're going out there. It doesn't matter what you're doing. I don't care if you're working out, if you just got a job and you don't work out or anything like that. The most important thing for you is getting your rest. Something highly overlooked by many people out there is getting proper rest, because your body needs time to rehabilitate itself. But yeah, man, and certainly, Edwin, I know stay you stay very fit, and you stay on it too, man. And yeah, I've been doing these morning walks. I mean, for one, because I mean it's nice, but I get out of my sister's house, so I'm not sitting there flapping my gums for for an hour with my loud mouth. But thanks, man. Thanks, Edwin. I appreciate that. Comic Kid 84 says, "Sounds like you have a great work ethic, man. I manage a business and could use a guy like you on the team. Uh, uh, Becoming less common, it seems." Yeah, you know what, Comic Cat 84, that's true. And a lot of that too is due to some of us, not even some of us. I mean, I'm not included in that, but some people out there who, I mean, not only in training people, you know what I mean, setting good examples for people, and being a good team worker, being a leader, and that has to do with setting an example, but also when you get new people in to your jobs. One of the things I hear a lot of people complain about these days is millennials. Oh, these millennials don't have work ethic. They're terrible. They don't do what you ask them, and this and that. And I notice a lot of people that say these kinds of things are also people who aren't willing to go out there and train the people that they have. That's one thing I miss about my old job was, used to work with a lot of these people, and one of the things I always used to say when it comes to that is that for one, you got to get them, you got to teach them, you got to train them, you got to get them to know what your expectations are and what their job is. And I know I dealt with a lot of that when I worked at Walmart. You get somebody, they just hire them, they put them on the computer to do these CBLs, and that's it. And then they put you out there, and then they just toss you out there with somebody and say, oh, here, show them what to do. Well, if you didn't team that person up with the right person, they could be learning bad habits and all kinds of different things. And I think that's something else out there in the world that we definitely need to. People need to be cognizant of, probably no matter in what industry you work in, making sure that you get people properly trained to know their positions, what expectations are, and what they need to be doing. And again, it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. And sometimes you get somebody who's been doing their job for, 10 years, 20 years, and they just lack that motivation because of all the things that they've been through. You know what I mean? They've kind of been beat down by the world, especially the world and maybe the environment that they're working in. So I understand how people can get in that headspace, and it could be a really hard thing to get out of. And sometimes, one of the things I've said, long said, I believe for a while, is that I believe everybody out there can do better, can be successful, but a lot of times it just takes a certain combination of words to get something to click into somebody's head, what they need to be doing and why they need to be doing it. And it's not always easy to find because it's not the same words for everybody. It's a certain combination of words, to unlock, and that's really what it is. It's like your word. That's why I say our words are powerful. You know what I mean? And that's why you got to be careful when talking to people, and the communication in which we're using to talk to others. And those kinds of things. Just a key example that I would say that I've seen lately is, especially with what we do, like with what I talk a lot about with movies, comic books, and things like that, is I'm sure you guys all remember that interview not too long ago that Henry Cavill was in, where that interviewer set him up with that question asking about toxic fandoms, and um, he just straight out said, he's like, look, I don't look at that as toxic fandom. That's people who are passionate about what they enjoy. They're passionate about these things, and I think that's very important because it's not about toxicity. I mean, sure, there's people out there that are toxic. There are, and I don't even really like the use of the word toxic that much neither. But there are people out there who are highly passionate about these things. And just because they're highly passionate doesn't mean they're toxic. Just because they have expectations doesn't make them toxic. So I think, that's something we see a lot of misuse of words out there, just in the media and things like that. And I don't think that everybody does it on purpose, but certainly there are a lot of people who do. You know what I mean? There are a lot of people who do those things on purpose and say certain things on purpose with the use of words. And I think that's something that's very important is our use of words when it comes to things like that. Like toxic fandom. Like there are toxic people out there, but just because somebody's passionate doesn't mean that they're toxic. It just means they have expectations and they like what they like and want to see what they want to see. That doesn't equal toxicity. So yeah, I don't know. I guess, but that's just me. That's just me. But guys, I guess that's really all I've got for today. As far as the morning movie chat, like I said, guys, go make sure that you're following me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I did drop my comic book pull list last week over on Facebook, and you can find me over there at the Second Street Marvel. You should definitely go over there and follow me because I did announce some giveaways that I'm going to be doing for my comic book pull list for next week. So if you want to get entered into that, you got to go follow me on Facebook and check the video out over there. However, I will tell you, that's part of my goals and my New Year's resolution, if you will, here for the channel is to be a little more on some of those other platforms, like on Facebook and Instagram, more so than on Twitter, like I've been very active on over this past I don't know 6 months or so, is getting some of that cross-platform stuff. But I'm going to tell you, guys, my comic book pull list for last week, or for this week, it's actually on YouTube as well. But what you got to do, I got it unlisted because I want it to be, I want to do more cross-platform stuff. So I premiered it over on Facebook, but you can also find it here on YouTube as well. All you got to do, it's an unlisted video, but it's on a public playlist, so you can still find it. All you got to do is go to my playlist here on the channel and go to the comic book pull list playlist, and it's there. It's on there. You can go and watch it. I haven't set it up with like the outro or anything yet, the cards or anything, because I just got it done late last night. But it's there, and if you go watch it, I do apologize for the audio. In case you guys don't know, I'm very picky about my audio. I don't like it to sound like trash, but you guys, I'm sure you guys will be a little bit forgiving because I am on vacation and I don't have all of the necessary means for the necessary means. You know that movie quote? Anyway, I don't have all the necessary means to get the great audio like I like to have. But yeah, make sure you go check out my comic book pull list. Like I said, you can find it here on YouTube as well. But it'll probably stay on that playlist, just unlisted, so it doesn't all the just all the stuff with YouTube and how those kinds of things work. But you guys should definitely go check me out over on Facebook as well. But that's all I have for today's video, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning into the Second Street Marvel. If you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe, click the little bell, all that good stuff, so you know when I'm going live. If you're here, chances are you've probably got your notifications turned on. If not, you're checking your subscription feed, and I greatly appreciate any time that you guys show up to watch me flap my gums. But you all have a very good day. Have a great rest of your week. I'm hoping I'll be home by tomorrow evening so we can be doing the Trailer Park Live, which I have been doing ever since February. Was it February 11th when I first started that? So it's been almost a year for the Trailer Park Live as well. So I hope to see you guys on Friday. If not, there'll be some videos coming out here on the channel throughout the week. You all have a very good day, and we'll see you in the next video. Later. Okay, guys. Once again, I'm not sure. Okay, yeah, it was Aaron Sorkin. Once again, guys, I'm not sure if you guys caught all that. I noticed this thing all kind of got. Okay, yeah, it's dropping. Okay, yeah. Again, guys, I'm sorry. I noticed that it kind of freezed up on me here on this app. But anyway, you guys have a good day, and like I said, go check out my comic book pull list and all that stuff. We'll see you all later, man. Have a good one.